On this computer. Excellent. All right. We are doing the January President's Call with Lynn Aubrey, your past president, Brent Humphreys, your current president, and Brian Shadle, your president-elect of the PMI Central Iowa Chapter Board. So, welcome everyone who's joining us in YouTube podcast land. The topic tonight for this call I wanted to touch on is volunteers. And there's several facets I think that are worth talking about. Well, okay, there's lots of facets that are worth talking about, but the one I wanted to start with is working with volunteer boards. Not just people who are on the boards, but people who have to interact with them, sending questions, working with events. Being a volunteer board is interesting in that it's important. I mean, we're volunteering our time with little to no, uh, we don't get paid. We get benefits out of it, which is awesome. And we get to meet wonderful, amazing people and hear about wonderful and amazing things, projects, stuff coming up in the industry, which is fascinating. But this is time we're donating. So working with the volunteer board, I did want to point out to those who are listening that I really encourage people who are emailing board members, and I'm not saying just us, the PMI chapter, any volunteer board. Um, I encourage people to continue to ask the question, continue to email, follow up. If there's a phone number available, utilize the phone number. And when things happen, like you ask a question, and then like a couple months later, you realize, hey, I never really got an answer to that. Feel free to also reach out to other board members because, in a business, we walk past people in the hallway or we're in a meeting with someone face to face and we hear, oh, well, Bob didn't get back to me because Bob slipped on the ice and fell and broke his ankle and he's been in the hospital with surgery. And that's why I haven't heard from him. Um, we don't get opportunities like that in a volunteer organization and in a professional chapter. So, life might have happened, and that's why you haven't heard anything. So, I do really encourage people who want to interact with us, feel free to reach out to your board members and feel free to follow up with the board members if you haven't heard anything. Um, and feel free to reach out to additional board members if you haven't heard anything. I also do like to point out that with volunteer boards, look at me talk a lot here. I'm dominating this conversation. It's near and dear to my heart. Um, with volunteer boards, allow just a little bit of extra time for responses because most of us, yes, most of us on the board are full-time professional project managers or scrum masters, and we're busy with work, and then we have family, and this is volunteer time, and this is very important to us. All of our board members are amazing and very dedicated, but we may not be able to get back to you today, and we might have to wait to get back to you until like the weekend. So grant us just a little bit of extra time to respond to questions, but if there's critical need, absolutely feel free to call that out in emails, or if you have phone numbers, give us a phone call so that we can respond in a timely fashion. So I just like to throw that out there as a reminder every once in a while. Volunteer board, it's awesome. Another facet of volunteering. Actually, I'm going to pause here. Did you guys want to? Did you want to add anything to that topic?
If you find that you're just at the absolute limit and you've been patient, I would suggest signing up for the premium podcast. If you find that premium podcast members do seem to get better results somehow, just not sure how that happens, but
It's
yeah,
weird how that works. Uh-huh.
food for thought, something to consider. Yeah.
Precisely. So, another facet of volunteering, which is, I think super important. It's a fabulous way, and I believe most of the board members believe this, and not just in our chapter, like all the board members I talk to in the region and elsewhere in PMI. It's that it's a wonderful way of giving back to the community, and not just the project management community, but the community you live in. Also, there's social programs, there's supporting local businesses, there's learning about interesting opportunities. There's lots of things that chapters can offer and do offer, and all of that happens because of volunteers. Um, I do like to call out one of the benefits of volunteering is you can claim some of that time for PDUs, which sometimes is
Hmm.
important, and sometimes people are like, "Yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it." But it is PDU worthy, and that's awesome. But you get a chance to meet other project managers, get exposed to other ways of doing things, exposed to projects you may not have ever heard of before, or get a chance to get a more in-depth view into. Um, and and I think anyone who's been around me for any length of time in the project management sphere knows I love to talk about our Collaborate to Succeed. And second on my list of things I love to talk about is our mentorship program. And those both are wonderful. The Collaborate to Succeed, you get to interact with your community as well as projects, and potentially unusual projects. Mentoring is pairing a senior project manager with a junior project manager and talking career stuff and paths and plans, and just having someone to go to bounce things off of, which is wonderful. But also giving back to the chapter in helping us create new content and offer things out to our members and all of our members, which we actually have a good portion of the state of Iowa is technically part of our chapter. So things that we can offer in person, at a distance, online, we're always looking for ideas, content, and volunteers to help make it happen. So, um,
And
I'm going to pause.
And a
Brent, you
lot
had
of
a few
that,
comments?
oh, sure, always, right? So, yeah, it really does depend in part on what your why is. And everybody's why is a little bit different. Some of them are uppercase and lowercase. But, what motivates you, what your reason would be for engaging. I know that for the new board member that joined the board this week, I don't think we're making any announcements today, but I guess we're making a little bit of news. Sorry. Um, the motivation was the opportunity to connect with other professionals in the profession, peers and people who are on similar career path journeys, have similar interests and things that they're looking to do. Um, Other people's why is a little different. Some people are explicitly looking for an opportunity to give back and to try and enrich a community that has done so much for them. Others may have other motivations entirely. They may be looking to stretch their skill set, try something that's going to be a little challenging. Volunteering affords all of those opportunities. I know that some of those whys apply to me. I know some of them apply to the new person who joined the board this week. I know that some of them might apply to Lynn and Brian here, and some of those might apply to you. And I would encourage you to consider what would be your why, what's your reason, and let's talk about how that reason might align with some of the things that are happening with the board. And if you wanted to go a little bigger, obviously we're always excited to have members engage at a higher level in terms of volunteering and getting to know the rest of us who serve on the board. But there are bigger options. This February, there are board of director positions opening up for PMI Global. So if you wanted to be a global board of director member, that is an option. We'll post a link to that along with this episode. And you can explore that if that's maybe closer to what your level of interest would be. And of course, if you do sign up for a premium subscription to the podcast, we'll get you an even more special link to that so that you can apply even faster.
Oh, that premium version just keeps
Mhm.
coming back around.
Yeah, those are wise words, Brent. You know, I wanted to comment on a couple of things and really just talk a little bit about, you know, some of my past and some of the benefits. And, you know, as I got into PMI and was able to work with Collaborate to Succeed. And for me, it was connecting with an organization called Mentor Iowa. They had 2 staff members, they had bunches of mentors slash volunteers, and a whole host of underserved, because of the number of volunteers, kids whose parents are incarcerated. So these are at-risk kids who this organization primarily focuses on setting up mentors for the kids. Thus, it's called Mentor Iowa. So it was simple things for me, like going in there and analyzing their process flow, looking at some of their accounting, and also being on their annual golf tournament committee and helping organize that. And it was a blast. You know, these last 2 years, I'm sorry, they haven't been the most fun for people, but getting out there and having those types of opportunities, I think could really get certain people out of their comfort zone and get them excited again, if there's some of you out there who aren't quite as excited. Now, when I think about boards, and you know, I've been on local nonprofit stuff and some state things, which led to being on a board of a startup company, which led to being on this board, which I'm super excited about. So if you go to our website and you look at the open positions, and look at these open positions, a lot of them have director on the front of it. How many of you out there are directors? Which you are, that's awesome. VPs, things like that. If you're career oriented and you want to spice up your resume, that word director is a pretty powerful thing. Pretty powerful. And you know, I've talked to the various people who have been in some of these positions. They're like, yeah, it's work, but it's not like, hey, it's going to take over my life. So from a professional standpoint, and maybe just a little selfish standpoint for some people, you can put director on your resume with these positions, and they're manageable positions. It's not rocket science. It's not tons and tons of hours. It's just a little expertise, some time, some devotion, some commitment, you know, to some continuous service over a certain period of time. So, you know, I thought people should really think about that from a professional standpoint. You don't always have access to positions where you can put director or VP or president on your resume. So those are some of my thoughts. That's a little background. But again, that Collaborate to Succeed. And you go into these organizations, they're like, are you kidding me? You're going to do that for me? They don't have the resources. They don't have the expertise. And you can use 1/10 of your expertise and go in there and know, they're just like, holy cow, this is unbelievable. And you can make a huge difference.
Amazing.
So if you're looking for a little spice in your life, you're tired of this COVID stuff, you know, you're getting shut in a little bit, I think this is a great opportunity to do something that's manageable, something that's important, and something that you meet a ton of different people. You ever need a new job and you meet 100 people through this? Oh my gosh. Life is pretty good. So there's a lot of selfish reasons on top of giving back to everything PMI has done for you, hopefully. And then on top of, you know, the community service that you can do through this organization.
Yep. And it's also a wonderful way of being the change you want to see. If you know, have I always thought, oh, PMI Central Iowa chapter, it's my go-to? No, I haven't always thought that. Has it become that for me? In many ways, it has. The people that I've met, the 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 networking, because you never know when you happen to know Brian, or you happen to know Brent, or Craig, or John, or Norm, that will they might hear something, or they might be able to say to somebody, hey, yeah, I know this person, I work with them on the board, they're very active in the local chapter, and that is of interest. um, since I've been on the board, it's come up in interviews, and employers that I've had have been super happy that I've been active in the local community. They're like, that is a huge benefit. That's a huge bonus.
Mhm.
So, and that's even with companies that aren't based in Des Moines. They happen to have an office here, but they're
Mhm.
like all over global. They love hearing um,
Mhm.
that no, I'm up to date, I'm current, and I'm active in the
Mhm.
community. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to get active in the community because you don't know who to talk to. Now, we are looking for a director of volunteerism who would help coordinate that and help make those
yes,
connections. But
exactly.
that's another benefit of, you've got somebody to help you if there's
Hmm.
certain sectors of nonprofits, that you'd like to help out, somebody alongside of you to help you with that journey and to give you some comfort that you're going into a situation with these organizations that has some parameters around it, and that is really sold up front, and that organization's gonna, you know they're gonna have open arms to bring you in and let you help them.
Yep, yep, absolutely, absolutely. Director of volunteerism was actually something I did want to like bring up tonight. We are looking for a new director of volunteerism, and when we talk about that position, I did want to highlight it a little bit because it really is an important position that we have. Traditionally, what we've had that person do is uh, coordinate with the board and say, hey, what positions do you need a volunteer for? And help board members go look for volunteers, but also be that point person for people who want to volunteer to contact the board and say, hey, I'm here, I want to volunteer. Um, as it's been pointed out, and I did flash on the screen, our website that has the current open positions. Um, just because there's the open position, if you want to volunteer with the board but none of those positions are really speaking to you, still feel free to reach out to us,
Uh,
specifically the director of volunteerism, because they're the best first person to contact, but really anyone on the board, and say, I'm interested, but this is the things that I'm kind of interested in doing. Can we talk? Is there an idea? Is there a special project that might be going on that's not on the website? Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can what's coming up, or what's on the schedule. Um, and sometimes there's things on the list of open positions that it just doesn't really highlight what we need. Like, there's a director of PDD, and I'll be covering that this year because we're doing online collaboration like we did last year, which worked out so wonderfully. But we'll be looking for people to help out with aspects of that, and that's not
hmm.
currently on our webpage. So we might know of additional things that are open and coming up. So feel free to reach out to us, even if there's really nothing on the website that you're like, yeah, I want to do that. Um, and so that's what the director of volunteerism does, is keep their ear to the ground, talk with people about creating volunteer opportunities, help match up people who are interested with positions that are available, and we're always looking for ways of making that a little bit more efficient, and ease of use, and improving user experience. So if any of that is of interest to you and you would like to talk to us more about it, feel free to reach out to any of the three of us who are on this call presenting to you. Our emails are on the website. So or you could email. I believe there's a contact link that goes to our director of website, who currently is Charity Dunwoody, who is amazing. I love her. Um, and she will absolutely get your email, and she will pass it on to the people who need to have it. So feel free to reach out to any of us to ask for more information about that position, or any of the open positions that are currently available. We would love to have conversations with you, because we want you to enjoy the experience as much as we would love to have your time and effort. So awesome. All right. And I had a list, and I took the list off of off of the screen so I could show the website. The one other thing I did want to touch on tonight, to make sure that we covered tonight, is we're always looking for conversation with our members. Um, as a board, we're here to make your experience great with the chapter and the things that we offer for you. So if you have an idea of something that you would like us to do or to consider, please feel free to send that over to us. Um, we would love it if you would like to help organize it with us, but do not let that stop you from contacting us and saying, hey, I would really be interested in a breakfast, bring your own coffee Zoom meeting, since we're all meeting virtually right now.
Or somebody who just wants to bring me coffee.
Or that's an option too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
Hey, Lynn, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, there's other organizations out there who do these coffees, and everybody shows up, everybody throws their ideas on what they want to discuss. They literally throw them up on a board, you vote on them, and then you go in order of topic. So think about having a brain trust together, especially the stuff that you need to know more about, putting those up on the board and discussing those as a group, and stealing ideas, you know, from others that you can take back to your job. So I'm glad you brought that up. Coffee.
yes, that's and part of the challenge with organizing that is what time do we pick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've struggled with that as a board. We've struggled with that just because we don't have a ton of volunteers, so we often have to choose a time rather than like a few options. So yeah, if somebody's interested in that and would love to be the person, and I say the host, mostly, you know, be the person in charge of clicking buttons. That's usually it. To help organize the conversation. Yeah, we would love to help that. We have a Zoom account as a chapter that we could utilize for scheduling Zooms, and eventually possibly having that as a coffee get together at like an actual real place with people. That would be great. And it's ideas like that, and things like that that we're looking for you all to suggest. What can we provide you? What more would you like to see? We're not going to guarantee that we'll do all of them, because sometimes we can't afford it or we can't find any volunteers to do it. But we do keep hold of those ideas, and we do bring them out every once in a while to revisit those topics and say, hey, we've talked about this. Let's talk about this again and see if we can do this. So please feel free. Email them to us, mail them into us, call us, text message, not skywriting and smoke signals. We don't get those messages very easily or are able to interpret them. But all the other ways, or if you happen to catch us, like you happen to work with us, you know, even if you like instant message us at work, although it's probably better if you email our PMI Central Iowa accounts, so we'll remember. But yeah, we love to talk to our members and hear from our members and know that you're getting value out of the things that we're doing and providing for you. So awesome. Well, those are the big topics I wanted to talk about tonight. Guys, do you have anything you'd like to add to my waving my hands like Kermit?
Just one other thing. I know we talked about opportunities for volunteering for the board for Central Iowa, which would be great, depending on what your why is. And the opportunity to potentially be a global board of director. If you're looking for an opportunity to share knowledge or experience you've acquired with a wider audience, I know the Global Leadership Institute meeting that's happening later this year is accepting a call for proposals through February 6th. So depending on when you're watching this, you may have just missed it, but hopefully you're watching this podcast in time. We'll put that link in with the episode as well, so that you have the opportunity to stand on a global stage and present to your peers and other leaders in the professional community.
Yep. Yes, keep an eye out for that. So there's a Leadership Institute meeting, and usually like the same, like the Leadership Institute meeting happens first, and then like the very next day, or sometimes the same day, because we beg them to like overlap it with the North America Global Congress. So this is also about the time that they ask for proposals for presentation at the North American Global Congress. So I encourage people to consider that as well. And it's, if you get a chance to go to a global congress, I highly recommend it. At least it's like at least once in your life.
Mm.
Go to one of those, because you meet some amazing people from all over, because it takes place in North America, but it's not limited to. So the last one that I went to was not 2019 was in Philadelphia, so 2018 was in Chicago. And I went to that one, and I met people from Chile and South America and South Africa and Hong Kong. There is a couple of people from one of the Italian chapters and several people from the Ireland chapters there, attending and presenting. And it was fascinating, the things that how much we have in common, and how much things that are not in common at all, that are not just cultural, but also just how that chapter happens to work. So highly recommend going if you get a chance to. And if you are a chapter leader, I do highly recommend going to the leadership meeting. It's an amazing time. So there's some great things that Global provides us.
Yeah.
No question. Met a great gentleman from Turkey back in 2019. Really insightful. Having that conversation, how's it the same, how's it different, is just a real eye opener. Then a bunch of nice people from Brazil. It's astonishing who you can run into at a Leadership Institute meeting.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Anything else that we'd like to cover tonight?
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll finish up after you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm so looking forward to digging out of this pandemic, whether it's Zoom for a while, but just getting around some new people. And, our chapter is a great way to do that.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope others are starting to look forward to that too.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And if you're not already, subscribe to the pod. Consider a premium subscription and all the attendant benefits that go with that imaginary product that I've been mentioning.
Now I have to figure out how to make this a podcast and not just on YouTube. Great.
It counts, right? It counts.
It counts. Yeah. Also, any ideas for topics for future conversations, please feel free to post on this YouTube video or send us an email and let us know, because we all quite often we're at like Wednesday and we're like, what are we talking about on our recording tomorrow night?
Are you suggesting we're going to have to read the comments?
Maybe.
I don't know. That sounds frightening.
We can do it.
Be nice, people.
Right? Be nice. Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's all we have for tonight. So I'm going to close this out, and we will see you all next time.
Mm.
Have a good night or a good day.